He taught me, all the mathematical tables, and by the time I got into 3rd grade, the teachers said, she's just passed all the standardized tests up to 12th grade.
What happens when a beloved daytime talk show, known for its fiery debates and unfiltered opinions, suddenly implodes? The abrupt and dramatic downfall of The View left fans and critics stunned. At the heart of the chaos was Sonny Hostin, a bold voice on the panel whose controversial remarks triggered a legal storm. Behind the scenes, tension simmered, alliances fractured, and the once vibrant roundtable crumbled under the weight of lawsuits, corporate backlash, and public scrutiny. But was this the inevitable result of crossing a line, or simply the cost of speaking truth to power? The full story of The View's collapse is as shocking as it is heartbreaking, and it begins with a single moment that changed everything. For over 2 decades, The View stood as a cultural phenomenon, redefining daytime television. Its format was simple, yet revolutionary, a round table of diverse personalities debating the day's hottest topics, from politics to pop culture. With a mix of humor, controversy, and unfiltered opinions, it became a staple for millions of viewers. But behind the laughter and lively debates, cracks were forming. The very formula that made The View a success, provocative discussions and outspoken hosts, also left it vulnerable. Over the years, the show weathered its fair share of controversies, but none prepared it for what was to come. The warning signs were subtle at first: backstage whispers, mounting tensions among co-hosts, and growing unease over increasingly bold commentary. Little did anyone know, the stage was being set for one of the most dramatic collapses in television history.
You really did, and you were like, I heard you coming on the show, and I was like, yeah, I'm joining the show. She was like, did they give you car stipend? I was like, no. Did they give you this? I was like, no. I was like, let me get my deal sheet out. And you basically went over your salary for the entire time you were there. And you also gave me Jenny McCarthy's salary.
It all began with one fiery segment that no one could have predicted would lead to The View's unraveling. During a heated discussion, Sonny Hostin launched into an impassioned critique of a high-profile public figure, someone with deep connections and a reputation for aggressively defending their image. While some viewers applauded her boldness, others accused her of crossing a line. Sonny's remarks, framed as factual rather than opinion, sparked immediate controversy. Social media erupted with divided reactions. Supporters hailed her as a truth teller, unafraid to challenge the powerful, while critics warned that her comments were dangerously close to defamation. Behind the scenes, the reaction was even more intense. Production staff and network executives began to worry. The View had always been provocative, but Sonny's statements seemed to have struck a nerve like never before. Rumors swirled that the figure in question was preparing legal action, a defamation lawsuit that could target not just Sonny, but the show and the network itself. Sonny remained defiant, insisting that she had only exercised her First Amendment rights. But the unease among her co-hosts and producers grew. Had the show's penchant for bold commentary finally gone too far? As whispers of legal threats turned into concrete warnings, The View found itself walking a razor-thin line between fearless journalism and potential disaster. As the legal threat loomed larger, the tension behind the scenes at The View reached a boiling point. What had once been a lively collaborative atmosphere among co-hosts and producers began to unravel. Whispers of "what if we're sued" echoed through the hallways, and the team started to question if they could weather this storm like they had so many times before. The co-hosts, known for their on-screen camaraderie, found themselves divided. Some felt Sonny's remarks were reckless, putting everyone at risk, while others defended her right to speak her mind. These cracks in their relationships began to show on air, with awkward silences and strained interactions replacing the usual spirited debates. Producers scrambled to reassure everyone that the situation was under control, but their actions told another story. Meetings grew more frequent, legal advisors were consulted daily, and every segment was carefully scrutinized to avoid further controversy. In the control room, the once confident team of producers appeared increasingly anxious, knowing one misstep could worsen the brewing crisis. The strain extended beyond the set. Advertisers began pulling back, spooked by the mounting legal drama. Longtime sponsors quietly suspended their deals, citing concerns about being associated with the controversy. This exodus sent shockwaves through the network. The View's financial stability was now at stake. Amid this chaos, Sonny's outward confidence started to waver. Though she publicly stood by her words, insiders revealed she was deeply affected by the growing backlash. Colleagues noticed her spending more time alone in her dressing room, grappling with the possibility that her her career and the show might not survive the fallout. What was once a thriving production now felt like a sinking ship. The cracks were no longer hidden, and it was only a matter of time before the chaos backstage spilled into the public eye.
15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Were you pissed that she canceled on your show?
I was. Only because, we're a very supportive environment for women. I think any guest will tell you that.
The breaking point came when the defamation lawsuit became official. The legal documents, filled with pointed accusations, claimed that Sonny Hostin's on-air remarks had damaged the reputation of the high-profile figure she critiqued. But the lawsuit didn't stop at Sonny. It named The View, its producers, and even top executives at ABC, alleging negligence in allowing her statements to air. The network's response was swift but guarded. Legal teams were mobilized, issuing strict directives to everyone involved. No public comments, no references to the case on air, and no further provocative remarks. The View's hosts were warned to tread carefully, turning their trademark fiery debates into noticeably more subdued discussions. Behind closed doors, tensions escalated. The co-hosts became wary of one another, with some privately blaming Sonny for the precarious situation they now faced. Producers scrambled to contain the fallout, consulting with public relations experts and crafting potential statements to soften the impact of the lawsuit. Advertisers, already hesitant, began pulling out entirely. Major brands that had supported The View for years no longer wanted to be associated with the growing controversy. Each departure was a blow to the show's financial stability, and ABC executives were left grappling with the grim reality. Without advertiser support, The View was hanging by a thread. For Sonny, the pressure was crushing. While she maintained her defiance publicly, close friends revealed she was deeply shaken by the legal battle. The idea of reading a network-drafted apology on air, a move designed to appease both the plaintiff and the public, was agonizing for her. To Sonny, it felt like an admission of guilt for something she believed was her right to say. Despite the turmoil, ratings briefly spiked as curious viewers tuned in to see how The View would handle the unfolding drama. But the uptick wasn't enough to offset the financial and reputational damage. The lawsuit wasn't just a legal threat, it was a ticking time bomb that threatened to destroy everything the show had built over the years. As ABC deliberated its next steps, the sense of doom became impossible to ignore. Sonny, the network, and the show itself were now embroiled in a battle that none of them were prepared to win. The breaking point came with a bombshell announcement from ABC. The View was going on an indefinite hiatus. Though the network avoided using the word canceled, insiders understood the subtext. A hiatus under these circumstances was often a precursor to a show's quiet burial. The announcement sent shockwaves through the staff. Longtime employees who had built their careers on the show's success were suddenly packing their desks and bracing for the worst. For the co-hosts, the news was equally devastating. The roundtable where they had debated, laughed, and shared stories for years was being dismantled in the shadow of a lawsuit they couldn't control. Sonny Hostin, the lightning rod for much of the controversy, was conspicuously absent from the broadcast where the hiatus was announced. Officially, she was taking a personal day, but behind the scenes, she was meeting with ABC executives in a tense, closed-door discussion about her future with the network. Some who attended the meeting described Sonny as visibly shaken, realizing that her outspoken comments had become the catalyst for the show's downfall. The emotional toll on Sonny was undeniable. Reports surfaced of her breaking down in private, struggling to reconcile her belief in speaking truth to power with the devastating consequences that followed. She confided in close colleagues, expressing fears that the network might sacrifice her career to salvage its own reputation. Meanwhile, the fallout extended beyond the studio. Major advertisers, already wary of the controversy, began severing ties with the show entirely. Each brand that withdrew pushed The View closer to financial collapse. Even a brief surge in ratings, fueled by public curiosity about the drama, wasn't enough to offset the damage. For a brief moment, it seemed as though a solution might be possible. ABC proposed a carefully worded statement for Sonny to read on air, an attempt to de-escalate the situation and appease the lawsuit's plaintiff. But for Sonny, the statement felt like a betrayal. To read it publicly would imply doubt about the truth of her original remarks, a concession she was unwilling to make. Days passed without her approval, and the opportunity to salvage the situation slipped away. Finally, the inevitable happened. ABC executives quietly confirmed that The View would not return. The staff was left reeling, co-hosts were left to navigate their own paths, and Sonny found herself in the eye of a media storm. A viral clip of her tearfully leaving the studio for the last time became the lasting image of The View's collapse, a poignant reminder of how quickly everything can fall apart when controversy and legal peril collide.
I was reluctant to share it, actually.
Why?
I will tell you, because I knew that it would get pickup. I knew that it would be Sonny Hostin from The View. And
So what?
I know.
But this happened to you. You weren't lying.
It happened, but I will tell you, right after it happened, I went over to Joy Behar's house. And she said, "What's wrong with you? You're not your usual self." And I told her, and she said, "We're talking about this on..."
The fallout from The View's abrupt hiatus was immediate and overwhelming, igniting a media frenzy that captured public attention for weeks. Major news outlets dissected every aspect of the controversy, from Sonny Hostin's role in the lawsuit to the show's fracturing dynamics. What had once been an institution in daytime television was now reduced to a cautionary tale playing out under the unforgiving spotlight of public scrutiny. The viral moment that dominated headlines was a brief, candid video of Sonny leaving the studio for the last time. Clutching her belongings, her tearful expression told a story that resonated far beyond the lawsuit. The clip, shared millions of times on social media, became the defining image of the scandal. It was a raw, unguarded glimpse of a woman grappling with the weight of her decisions, and it fueled an avalanche of speculation. Was this the face of regret? A brave individual standing firm in her beliefs? Or someone overwhelmed by the consequences of a gamble gone wrong? Public reactions were deeply polarized. On one side, Sonny's defenders rallied behind her, seeing her as a symbol of courage. Hashtags like #NumberJustice for Sonny trended across platforms, with users praising her for daring to speak out against powerful individuals. She was holding them accountable. One tweet read, "And this is the cost of telling the truth in a world that protects the elite." Supporters flooded her social media pages with messages of encouragement, urging her to stay strong and not let the backlash silence her voice. On the other side of the debate, critics were quick to assign blame. She knew what she was doing, one commentator argued, and she jeopardized the livelihoods of everyone on that show. Detractors accused Sonny of recklessness, pointing out that her remarks had not only triggered a lawsuit but had also placed The View's financial stability and its legacy in jeopardy. Hashtags like "I cancel The View" and "Sonny ruined it" also began to trend, showcasing just how divided public opinion had become. The media eagerly capitalized on this division. Tabloids churned out sensationalized headlines, speculating on the details of the lawsuit and the backstage chaos at The View. Stories about heated arguments among the co-hosts, advertiser withdrawals, and the network's last-ditch attempts to salvage the show dominated news cycles. Pundits debated the story on primetime shows, weighing in on whether Sonny's comments were justified or if she had overstepped the boundaries of responsible commentary. Behind the scenes, Sonny's life was under siege. Friends and colleagues described her as struggling to find her footing amidst the maelstrom. While she publicly maintained her composure, those close to her noted the toll the controversy had taken. She avoided public appearances whenever possible, and when she did speak, her words were carefully chosen. In one interview, she admitted the emotional strain of the ordeal, saying, "It's one thing to fight for what you believe in, but it's another to see everything you've worked for unravel because of it." Her rare public statements were a double-edged sword. For her supporters, they reinforced her image as a fighter standing up for her principles. For her critics, they seemed like thinly veiled attempts at damage control. Every word Sonny said or didn't say was scrutinized, dissected, and debated, adding more fuel to the already blazing fire. Fans of The View found themselves in mourning. The show had been more than just a source of entertainment. It had been a cultural touchstone, a place where generational divides were bridged and important issues were debated openly. Losing it felt personal to many. Social media became a platform for collective grief, with users sharing their favorite moments from the show and expressing disbelief that it had all ended so abruptly. Advertisers, once eager to align themselves with The View's vibrant platform, were now distancing themselves at record speed. The loss of major sponsorship deals not only doomed the show's financial future, but also cemented its public downfall. Each withdrawal was seen as yet another vote of no confidence, a signal that The View was no longer the safe bet it had once been. As the dust settled, conversations began to shift. Media analysts reflected on the broader implications of the controversy, framing it as a cautionary tale about the risks of unfiltered commentary in an era of heightened sensitivity and litigious power dynamics. Sonny's story sparked debates about the balance between free speech and responsible broadcasting. How far can public figures go in calling out the powerful before they face consequences themselves? Meanwhile, Sonny became a polarizing figure in the industry. To some, she was a hero who had sacrificed herself on the altar of free expression. To others, she was a cautionary example of hubris, a talented commentator who failed to recognize the fine line between boldness and recklessness. Her name became synonymous with the controversy, ensuring that her role in The View's downfall would forever overshadow much of her career. Despite the criticism, Sonny maintained a core group of devoted supporters. Many saw her as a trailblazer who had dared to challenge the status quo, and they rallied around her, determined to protect her legacy. They followed the updates on the lawsuit, analyzed her public statements, and defended her fiercely against online attacks. Months after the initial frenzy, public interest began to wane. The story was gradually replaced by new scandals and fresh controversies. Yet for those who had been deeply invested in The View's legacy, the saga remained a haunting reminder of how quickly things can unravel. Sonny Hostin's tearful departure from the studio became an enduring image, a moment that encapsulated not just the collapse of a show, but the human cost of living in the spotlight. For Sonny, the road ahead remained uncertain. While she avoided making major public appearances, her sporadic social media posts hinted at a quiet resilience. "This has been a turbulent chapter," she wrote in one post, "but every storm passes eventually." Whether those words were meant for her supporters, her critics, or herself, one thing was certain: Sonny Hostin's story was far from over. In the weeks following The View's cancellation, the fallout reverberated far beyond the confines of daytime television. The show's once iconic roundtable was reduced to an empty studio, its lights dimmed, and its staff displaced. For the public, the scandal quickly became a cultural touchpoint, a cautionary tale of how rapidly a seemingly unshakable institution could crumble under the weight of controversy. Sonny Hostin found herself at the center of a storm that refused to dissipate. For her, the aftermath was deeply personal, marked by a mix of public criticism, private reflection, and an uncertain professional future. Her supporters remained vocal, praising her courage and resilience. They framed her as a martyr for free speech, someone who had dared to challenge powerful figures despite the risks. But her detractors were just as loud, accusing her of reckless behavior that had cost countless jobs and tarnished the legacy of The View. Social media remained a battlefield, with hashtags like #JusticeForSonny and #Sonny ruined The View trending on and off. Every move she made was dissected by fans and critics alike. A simple family photo posted to Instagram drew both messages of support and bitter accusations. "I hope you're proud of yourself," one comment read, while another countered, "Don't let them silence you, Sonny." A BC, for its part, was working behind the scenes to minimize the damage. The network remained tight-lipped about the lawsuit, citing ongoing legal proceedings. Industry insiders speculated about settlements, with some suggesting the network was negotiating to quietly resolve the case and move on. Others believed the legal battle could drag on for years, keeping the scandal alive in the public eye. For the remaining co-hosts of The View, the aftermath was equally challenging. Joy Behar, a long-standing figure on the show, expressed sadness over losing a platform that had defined her career. Whoopi Goldberg, who had often acted as the show's stabilizing force, remained notably silent about the controversy. Rumors circulated that she was considering other projects, though nothing concrete emerged. Other hosts pursued new opportunities, from podcasts to potential network deals, though all remained overshadowed by the controversy that had engulfed The View. Sonny's professional prospects seemed uncertain. While some media outlets reached out with offers for new projects, a podcast, a streaming show, or even a tell-all book, she hesitated. In a rare interview, Sonny admitted that the ordeal had left her disillusioned. "I believed in what The View stood for," she said, her voice cracking. "But I also learned how fragile that belief can be when it's tested by forces beyond your control." Despite her reservations, Sonny couldn't completely retreat from the spotlight. The lawsuit remained active, and with it came periodic bursts of media attention. Each new development, the scheduling of a preliminary hearing, rumors of settlement talks, or leaked details from legal filings, revived the story, dragging her name back into the headlines. The emotional toll on Sonny was evident. Friends described her as quieter, more introspective, and less inclined to engage with the media than she had been in the past. She's carrying a lot, one close confidant revealed. It's not just about the lawsuit, it's about everything she lost. Her platform, her routine, her sense of stability. For many fans, The View's cancellation was a loss that felt deeply personal. The show had been a part of their daily lives, a place where they could see their own beliefs and frustrations debated in real time. Its absence left a void that no other program seemed able to fill. Some held out hope that The View might return in a different form, perhaps with a new name, a fresh panel of hosts, or a reimagined format. But those who had worked in television long enough knew that such revivals were rare, especially when a show's brand had been so publicly tarnished. Within the television industry, The View's downfall sparked broader conversations about the delicate balance between bold commentary and legal liability. Sonny's situation became a case study for media professionals, a cautionary example of how quickly controversy can spiral out of control in the age of social media and 24/7 news cycles. Networks began to implement stricter guidelines for their on-air talent, ensuring that even unscripted moments were carefully vetted to avoid similar disasters. For Sonny, the road ahead was unclear. While some fans urged her to write a memoir or start a podcast, she seemed more inclined to focus on her personal life. Occasionally, she posted cryptic messages on social media, alluding to the lessons she had learned. Sometimes the hardest battles teach us the most about ourselves, one post read, sparking yet another round of speculation. As the months turned into years, public interest in The View's collapse began to fade. New scandals and controversies took its place, and the once dominant headlines about Sonny and the show were relegated to the annals of media history. But for those who had followed the story closely, it remained a vivid reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in the volatile world of television. For Sonny, the scars of the controversy would likely never fully heal. Yet, in her quieter moments, she seemed to find some solace in the idea that she had stood by her principles, even if it came at a great cost. "It's not about winning or losing," she said in one interview. "It's about knowing you stayed true to yourself, even when the whole world was watching." Whether Sonny would return to the public eye or fade into a more private life remained to be seen. But one thing was certain, the legacy of The View and the controversy that ended it would forever be tied to her name, a poignant chapter in the history of daytime television. The downfall of The View marked the end of an era in daytime television. What began as a bold platform for candid debates and diverse voices ultimately succumbed to the risks of unfiltered commentary in a world where words carry immense power. At the center of it all was Sonny Hostin, a polarizing figure who became both a symbol of courage and a cautionary tale. For decades, The View had been more than just a talk show. It was a cultural institution, a space where generational gaps were bridged and difficult conversations unfolded in real time. Its legacy, however, became overshadowed by a single moment of controversy that spiraled into a legal and financial crisis. The show's abrupt end left fans grieving the loss of a daily ritual that had shaped their perspectives and entertained them for years. Sonny Hostin's story, too, is one of duality. To her supporters, she was a fearless truth teller who refused to back down in the face of adversity. To her critics, she was a reckless provocateur who ignored the responsibility that comes with a public platform. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, a complex narrative of intentions, consequences, and the precarious balance between free speech and accountability. The collapse of The View also served as a broader cautionary tale for the media industry. It highlighted the fine line that television personalities walk, where bold commentary can drive ratings but also trigger significant legal and financial repercussions. It forced networks to reevaluate their boundaries and question how far they were willing to push the envelope in the name of entertainment. As for Sonny, her future remains uncertain. While she may one day re-emerge in a new role, the weight of The View's collapse will always be a part of her story. Whether she is remembered as a trailblazer, a cautionary figure, or both, her experience underscores the human cost of controversy in the relentless world of media. The story of The View's fall from grace will linger in the collective memory, a poignant reminder that even the most resilient institutions can falter under the weight of controversy, and that every bold voice must grapple with the consequences of being heard. As the studio lights dimmed for the final time, they left behind a legacy of spirited conversation, unforgettable moments, and a cautionary reflection on the cost of speaking out in a world that is always watching.